Welcome to CineMyles, the show for cinephiles. I'm your host, Miles Hughes. I'm joined today by Mr. Noah Bennett. And we just saw Spider-Man Homecoming, which is the 7th film featuring the character of Spider-Man made since the turn of the century. And it's actually one of the best ones. I would say Spider-Man 2 is still the gold standard, but this one comes right up next to it. Tom Holland is great. He's adorable. He feels like Peter Parker. He feels like a kid, which makes a huge difference. He's not played by some 30-year-old.
It did feel very small scale for a long time. It didn't feel big until towards the end. And that goes for the story, as well as Spider-Man himself, as well as the villain. The villain was very small scale, had his own motives, and very much just wanted to be left alone.
Well, in that way, it reminded me a lot of the Marvel Netflix shows. Like, you look at stuff like Jessica Jones or Daredevil, it's very street level. These aren't, global plots to take over the world or anything. This is very much friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Right.
It's Spider-Man hanging out in the burbs. I love the little montage of, like, his day-to-day crime fighting, where, like, he's helping old ladies cross the street, and, like, he saves a stolen bike, but then he doesn't know who the bike belongs to, and like little gags like that. Like, he feels very relatable. The stakes feel bigger in a weird way because it's not this sort of like city destroying laser beam or anything like that. It's just a guy trying to make a buck and Spider-Man trying to do the right thing.
And this is his neighborhood too, and that's another part. Like, you have the bodega that he feels personally attached to, and things like that. These are like people he knows and that he cares about, and so I think it is kind of high stakes in that way.
Exactly.
And that does play into the story later.
There's still plenty of interconnected Marvel Universe stuff, but it feels very restrained. It's just most of it that's in there is played for laughs. Like Captain America has a great running cameo. Robert Downey Jr. is in there as Tony Stark. He doesn't steal the movie or anything. He's really only in a few scenes.
Yeah, I'm glad he wasn't in it that much. But I will say the movie was missing the money shot from the commercials of Spider-Man slinging his web and Iron Man flying right
next to each other.
Not in the movie.
It's not in the movie. It's better than, say, Rogue One, where like the entire third act was missing from the trailers. I almost wonder if that shot was specifically created for the trailer and was never even meant to be in the movie, because I don't know where it would have gone.
I think it was, because that suit was nowhere in the movie.
Right, yeah.
He was wearing all these different suits throughout the movie, but that wasn't one of them.
Michael Keaton plays the Vulture. The Vulture is like one of the lamer Spider-Man villains in the comics, but this version's kind of badass, and Michael Keaton's so perfectly cast.
Oh my goodness.
Never mind, Birdman and Batman jokes aside, he really encompasses that working class kind of guy while still imbuing it with this menace and this sense of he will do anything to sort of get what he wants.
Yeah, and he has some great dialogue. I think sometimes villains have some cheesy dialogue, and I think he really only had one line that I was just kind of like, come on. The villain doesn't really see themselves as a villain in their eyes.
Right. He's just trying to do right by his own sort of code. There's actually a lot more emphasis on the high school aspects, which I appreciated a lot. You get to spend a bit more time with his like high school friends. Ned, his one best friend, is really adorable. Zendaya plays a character named Michelle, who's in the movie pretty briefly. She's always fun when she's on screen, but you can tell they're setting her up for bigger things down the road.
Oh, yeah. Flash,
played by the kid from Grand Budapest Hotel, which I thought was hilarious. The action is good for the most part. It's not really up to the highest standards of either Marvel or even Spider-Man films, which is, again, where Spider-Man 2, I think, really succeeds. The Sam Raimi trilogy is wonderful. Well, the first two Sam Raimi films are wonderful. But they are all very much filtered through Sam Raimi's particular directing style. Whereas this film felt very much like, this is Spider-Man. This is pure Spider-Man. It felt very much like ripped out of the comics with like a fresh, modern update, but not in a distracting way. If anything, it was very culturally inclusive. I love how diverse, like, the high school is and all the kids are. They feel like they come from all different walks of life. The humor throughout the movie is really on point.
There was a handful of just laugh out loud moments. The whole theater just...
Oh, yeah, like really good belly laughs, too, which is always pleasant to see. And that's one of the reasons I love the Marvel movies, is they never take themselves too seriously. They're showing the little gym video with Captain America, and then the gym teacher's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a war criminal now, but whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like little references to the other movies.
It's interesting to think about how Marvel's gonna have to work around it with Sony owning the rights to certain characters.
Yeah, that's gonna be a whole thing. Because right off the bat, they're doing this Venom movie with Tom Hardy, which is awesome, but if it doesn't connect to the MCU, apparently Spider-Man's not even going to be in it, or like barely going to be in it, because like Sony's doing it separate from Marvel, so it's not clear whether those characters will ever interact. It's just confusing. It's like, you can't have a whole extended universe based on Spider-Man's side characters.
Right. And yeah, I've heard mixed things about Marvel and Sony possibly crossing over.
Right. I think they're figuring it out as they go, because I mean, it's kind of an unprecedented deal, and it's amazing that they were able to make it work.
Exactly.
Both for the sake of Spider-Man on screen and just letting him be a part of the general MCU. But now they're sort of at a point where they've got to figure out how to do it. Because obviously Spider-Man's going to be back in the next Avengers movies, and there's going to be a direct sequel to this one, of course. But as far as these spin-offs go and how much freedom they have with Spider-Man, it's still a little unclear at this point. I hope they keep it sort of ground level, especially considering, you know, you got the characters like Iron Man and Thor and Hulk. They all seem so much larger than life, and you don't feel a whole lot of tension when you're watching those movies, because you never really feel like they're going to be defeated. They just feel a little too invincible. Spider-Man, like, there's a couple moments in this movie where you're kind of really feeling some solid tension because you're not 100% sure that he can make it out of this. Like, he makes a lot of mistakes, and they let him be human, and they let him screw up. They let him be a kid.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one of my favorite parts about this movie, is that Spider-Man is an extremely flawed character in this movie.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times where I think with the writing, they could have gone with some sort of cop-out, some sort of heroic cop-out, whether that would be bringing Iron Man in or someone else coming in, and they didn't. And he falls, and he gets hurt, and he learns from his mistakes. And that's really, I guess, the tone of the whole movie.
Exactly. Would you recommend this film?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Highly recommended. One of the better Marvel movies. One of the better Spider-Man movies. I can't wait to see more from Tom Holland and from this whole crew. That will do it for us from CineMyles. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, do all those fun things. Thank you for joining me, Noah.
Thank you.
And we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good night. Peace.